YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Kelby Bugner, and this is my 2006 Ford Explorer XLT. Now, this Ford Explorer right here is probably the most inexpensive Ford Explorer that you could possibly buy or purchase on Facebook Marketplace, Offerup, Craigslist. It is pretty much, the market for SUVs are pretty much going up, and I want to tell you how much I spent this vehicle for. I bought this truck for a steal. Well, I may feel like it's a steal. You may feel like it might be, whatever. Now, the reason why I purchased this Explorer is because if you guys aren't familiar with what happened, we had an experience of a really catastrophic record-breaking flood in the South Florida area where majority of South Florida was flooded, and it was very, very scary at the time. At the time, I've owned my Volkswagen Jetta and I drove my BMW. And I said to myself, I actually promised myself that I would actually get into a SUV or a pickup truck or something taller than what I drive right now. Thankfully, that day when I was driving in that record-breaking hurricane or flood we had, I was in the BMW, and the BMW stood very well into that weather. You can see this. Well, the BMW proved absolutely well in the inside of that flood. I got to go home perfectly fine, but I said to myself that I needed an SUV that I know that could be able to allow me to get through it, and this was my purchase. I purchased this on Facebook Marketplace for a steal. Now, when I purchased this vehicle, it needed a little bit of work, but it did not need that much work. But absolutely, it was an absolute steal, from my opinion. 155,000 miles. I know that seems like a lot, but for the price I got it for, I am not complaining. This vehicle had 4 faults. The airbag light was due to a crash sensor, which is the crash restraint sensor that sits behind the grille. It's pretty common for Ford Explorers for it to go bad, so that's on its way. I did not purchase it yet because I'm actually looking to find the exact part so I could test it, make sure that it's right before I order it. The second fault is the ABS lights. ABS light and the traction light were on. The traction light is on because the ABS light has a fault for the right rear wheel speed sensor. So I ordered the right rear speed sensor and found out that it was not the right rear speed sensor, but actually the differential speed sensor for the right side. When you scanned the vehicle, it did say right rear speed sensor faulty input or output. When I found out, it was actually the differential speed sensor for the right side that is faulty. So that's actually coming in today from Rock Auto. The check engine light now is on and still on. And that was the reason why I purchased this vehicle, because we live in South Florida, and I don't think that it was absolutely necessary for me to purchase a brand new one to resolve that issue. So, however, the check engine light was on for the catalytic converter. When I popped the hood of the vehicle, the day I saw the vehicle, and that is the main reason why I got the price very, very low to where I got it now. Now, the reason why I suspect that he really wanted to get rid of the vehicle, this vehicle had a real bad power steering leak. Prior to purchasing the vehicle, I went to the owner and I asked him, what is wrong with this vehicle? The only thing he said that was wrong with this vehicle was that the air conditioner was not working. So basically, what I said to the gentleman was like, look, that's going to drop the price on the vehicle because, hey, you didn't mention that when we're communicating on Facebook Marketplace. So I found 2 major flaws. The moment I got into the vehicle, I noticed the steering wheel was very stiff. The engine's running, steering wheel is very stiff. I told him, like, hey, look, whatever it needs, it's going to cost me a lot of money to fix whatever it needs. The second part was when I popped the hood, the second part was when I scanned the vehicle, I found that there's only faults for all 4 oxygen sensors. Heater 1, bank 1, sensor 1 on both sides were faulty. So when I popped the hood, lo and behold, I found out that both catalytic converters, all the catalytic converters were missing from the vehicle. So that was another great reason for me to bring that price down. And upon bringing that price down, I obtained this vehicle. I don't necessarily plan on selling this vehicle. I really needed this vehicle for hurricane season. I needed something tall so I could drive through these Florida swamp leveled waters. I think I made a great buy. It does have a little bit of blemishes. As you can see from the obviousness right here, it is definitely bad on the paint. Only on this side and a little bit right here and on the other fender on the other side. Other than that, the body of this vehicle is superb. The tires look good. The wheels were actually good. The wheels, on the other hand, were very dirty when I first purchased it. I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to clean that. And then, to be honest, I drove to the car wash. I came right out of the car wash. And once I came out of the car wash, I realized, oh, wow, these wheels are clean. All right, so as you see, the truck looks like it's in good condition. What I'm going to go over a couple things that I have purchased. And here is my list. So now I'm going to go over it. This is almost everything that's in alphabetical order. Okay, so I'm going to name all the places where I got all the items for and tell you how much I have spent so far of owning this vehicle. And so far, I've owned this vehicle for about 3 months now, and this is all I've spent so far in those 3 months. First thing I bought was a power steering switch, which was $18, and I purchased that from Rock Auto. Second thing I purchased was 2 hood shocks for $10 each, and they were $20 total. Third thing I purchased was, and I believe I purchased that from Rock Auto as well. The third thing I purchased was the hinge shocks for the actual lift gate of the glass. I purchased that for possibly $10 each, and it's the shocks that actually holds this together. You see right here. I bought 2 shocks for those. Those were $10 each, so that's $20. The blend door actuator, which is the controls the functions of going hot to cold. I purchased that for $13, Rock Auto, and pretty much that helped a lot. That made a big game changer once I purchased that. The 6th item I purchased was a Apple CarPlay. Purchased that on eBay for $40, and that was a hard thing to find. I didn't just buy a CD player. I bought an actual screen Apple CarPlay, and I pretty much installed that together. The 7th thing I bought was 4 factory door speakers, and I purchased 4 factory Ford door speakers for $30 from Offerup, and yes, they were used, and yes, they all work to this day. The 8th item I purchased was all new brake pads front and rear, and they were from eBay, and I purchased a total of $100, free shipping. Now, here is the probably the controversial part. I purchased 4 tires. The tires now, the factory spec and the door card says that the tires are 245/65 17s. What I did was I bought 4 used 245/70 17s, and they were Continental Adventurer HTs, and I paid $190 for those 4 tires used. The thread life is really good. However, I really know why I purchased them used is because those tires are very choppy, which is completely fine. I didn't expect it to be the best tires. It sounds a lot like this vehicle driving by. If you hear that. Steering wheel cover. I don't know if you guys will see that. I purchased steering wheel covers. That was $2 from eBay. Now, here's the big thing, pretty much the most expensive new item I purchased was the left front strut assembly. The left front strut assembly, every time I went over bumps, made real bad clunking noise. Sounds like ball joints, but they weren't ball joints. Those were ultimately, and that was $67, Rock Auto. The right front wheel bearing was very noisy, so whenever I'm cruising about 40 miles an hour, it'll make like a wah, 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 like a rubbing noise, but it doesn't sound like an ordinary rubbing noise. You get confused with chopped tires, but what it sounded like a lot of whining, like a rubbing, like grinding rubbing. So it was really bad. I purchased that with the speed sensor for $65. And once I fixed the wheel speed sensor, I noticed that my ABS light goes away. And when I go over 20 miles an hour, now it goes off. Come to find out, when I scanned the vehicle, I found a fault for another fault, which it surprisingly didn't pop up before, but now it did. I found a fault for the right rear wheel speed sensor, but it's not an ordinary rear wheel speed sensor. In fact, it is actually the rear wheel speed sensor on the right side that is mounted where the differential is. On the differential, which I've never seen before, has the right side and the left side of the diff where the rear drive shaft sits. There's two sensors that sits there, and it's the right side wheel speed sensor that actually took a fault. So altogether, if you add everything up, I purchased a total of $589 for all of these items, which is all 13 items that I've purchased for this vehicle. Now here's the grand finale. I have not mentioned how much I purchased this vehicle for, but I have purchased this vehicle for $800. This vehicle right here cost me $800 to purchase. And altogether, which is the grand total, I spent $1,389 on everything that I've got into this vehicle in the past 3 months. I think that's a great deal. But here's the kicker. The total grand value of the Kelley Blue Book value purchased for this vehicle is $3,382. So if I were to sell this vehicle, I believe I will make a profit off of this vehicle. And just to let you know, that is how simple and easy it is to purchase a vehicle on Facebook Marketplace, Offerup. It doesn't necessarily have to be the worst shape, as if you could fix it. And to be honest, the little things that are really wrong with this vehicle is, well, I'm sorry, the cost-effective things that are wrong with this vehicle, which is probably what steers a lot of people not to purchase this vehicle, is the engine's timing chain. They are really, it's an expensive job to do. You have to actually remove the engine from the vehicle to perform that repair. And for some odd reason, Ford decided to make this engine, I forgot the name of this engine actually, the rear has a timing chain and the front has a timing chain. So it's kind of weird for a V6. So picture a V6, right? The back right here has a timing chain and the front has a timing chain. And they should have put them together, but it's so weird how Ford did that. The next thing is, these models are not, or fourth gen. No, let's start from the beginning. Now, the fourth gen, third gen, and second gen Ford Explorers, not too familiar with the first gen, but those last three generations of Ford Explorers were heavily prone to faulty transmissions. Now, the transmission seems to be okay. I've been driving a lot in the South Florida area. I've been driving to Homestead, to Hialeah, to Wellington, to Boynton Beach, and I've never had a problem with the transmission so far. I let the vehicle start up and warm up every single day before I actually drive it. I highly recommend doing that. But other than that, I have not had an issue with this vehicle. So that is it. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this vehicle. If you think this was a good buy, if this was a steal or not, and we could go from there. And you're also probably wondering, how come I did not make a video on all these repairs that I did? And I did everything myself. The reason why I did not do anything I did not record any video or made any content of doing all these repairs, because they are already in existence on YouTube. Now, if you would like to see for yourself, all you have to do is go on YouTube and you'll find every single thing that's done already. So I figured there'll be no point of doing anything or any such repairs because it's technically already online. The wheel bearing was super easy. The struts was super easy to replace. The radio was very easy to remove. The blender actuator was super easy to remove. A little bit challenging, but to be honest, if you have a swivel socket or a swivel adapter, you're completely fine. The wheel speed sensor is very easy. I didn't have to take the wheels off. I actually went on the back side of the wheel and I completely just crawled on there, reached it. I believe it was a 10 millimeter bolt, and removed it, and that was it. But overall, I think that this vehicle is a great buy, and I say you should definitely go on Facebook Marketplace, Offerup, and purchase one of these nice, beautiful Explorers for yourselves. I thank you for watching the video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.